Okay, I apologize for that little technical difficulties, but we're back. So, um, let me finish posing my question to you again, Melissa. Um, we were speaking about for those that may join us. I'm pretty sure they'll pop up on the screen in a minute. So I'm gonna open up the chat box. Um, let's see comments. Put them here. Let's see what happened to my comment box. There we go. Um, please join us. What happened?
I love that logo, dude.
Huh?
Who did the logo? It looks great.
Oh, a friend of mine. Please. Let's go to banner. Where we at? Okay, nope, that's the last show we did. Here we go. There we go. So we're back. Everyone, a little technical difficulty, but hopefully, um, when you're dealing with these electronics, things happen that's beyond our control. But let's get back to it, Melissa, if we will.
Sure.
Yeah, we're back on the air. So you're a big fan and advocate of Kevin Samuels,
That's right.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And you believe wholeheartedly that Kevin Samuels was the iconic um, person, if you will, to bring about a reality when it comes to relationships based on the delusionment of a lot of people, both men and women.
Yeah, for sure. He brought us back to life. I think he brought the conversation forward like nobody else did.
Okay, again, so you, when I posed the question to you about what would be your ideal man, you commented, and can you repeat that, please?
Sure. Um, my ideal man would be one that has patience and he's wise and that he can teach me things that are important for life. Like I don't know, like one that would work out with me, one that could teach me like things like whatever he likes to eat. I want to learn how to cook it. So if he could teach me that, that would be good. I also want someone who just has patience with my learning because like I said, I didn't learn about Kevin Samuels until recently. Um, so I know I have a lot to learn, but I know that if I learn it, I will be awesome. So so that's someone who can just take time to have patience with me.
So, if you were to give recommendations to any of your female or male friends, and I think you kind of said earlier that you don't have any female friends.
Not really, yeah.
So, what advice would you give them if they had any sense of entitlement, or if they had any form of delusionment? What advice would you give them, and what would that advice be based upon?
Um, well, based on mostly what I've learned recently, we're only young once. You don't need to have fun every day. You can just be home and learn how to be, a good wife. I think that that's for the females at least, and be a woman to to the man that you're with. If he's good to you, treat him right. Like you only get that once in your lifetime. For the men, be patient with the ones that really do want to learn how to be better ladies out there. Oh, one more thing for the ladies, stop having children, please. You guys are like, it's a little bit crazy how many kids like these women are having, and like they're not married or anything. I honestly don't get that at all. It's just an extra burden. There's no man that's gonna want like to deal with a kid that's not his. If you have a husband, stay with him. If he does something stupid, forgive him. Be his best friend and be his just forgive him and like learn how to move forward. Try because you're married. Stop getting divorced.
Okay, you made a statement that no man wants a woman with kids,
Yeah.
and what makes you believe that?
Um, well, I listen to a lot of people in the manosphere, so I mean, they prefer a woman with no kids. If they had to choose, I'm sure they would choose the one with no kids. So stop having kids. That's just my belief from what I've heard from men. So that's
But wouldn't it be safe to say, even though it's based on assumption and not statistical facts, that most women today have at least one child?
do they? Yeesh.
Now, I'm not saying all women, but and I haven't researched this, so again, it's based on my assumption that most women, not all, have at least one child.
I really hope not. But yes, that's a bummer. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, like Kevin Samuels would say, like, just give up, go buy a dog or go and die alone. But I mean, a lot of these women are having kids for, I think, in my opinion, selfish reasons. I don't think that they're looking out for the kid if they're having it without a dad around. So
Okay, so when you say you believe they're having it for selfish reason, can you be more detailed with that, please?
yeah, sure. They want someone to love. They want someone to care for. They want someone to raise for their own like purposes. It has nothing to do with like they're not doing anything for the kid when you're having it without the dad because there's no, especially if it's a boy, you're not raising it with its dad. You're really not going to raise it to be a man because no woman knows how to raise a man. And for the girls, a lot of these women like are like I don't know, they have animosity towards their daughters and they're kind of get jealous because they don't have like all the burdens that they do have like when they were young because they didn't have any kids. Like my mom hates me because I think that my mom hates me because I don't have any kids. So and because I don't have as many, worries as she does. But like those were all her choices. She chose to be a single mother, and she chose to, she chose what she chose. So those are life's choices. You don't have to choose to be a single mother. You can choose to be without kids, or you can choose to be with a man and have a child. I don't think it. I don't think that we should keep having kids without a husband.
Well, I think um, a lot of people would wholeheartedly, particularly women, would disagree with that statement because they would say that it's okay to have children. I had the child. I've heard people say I had the child for my own sake. I didn't really care about the father. So, do you think that there should, society should create some type of law, like, for example, China has? You cannot once I think the female can get to a certain age, they put some type of implant in them um, where they can't have children, and in order for them to have children, they have to petition the government and show that they're financially able, psychologically able, the whole 9 yards in order to bear children. But because we live in a society that we do, and you can put any title you choose on it, I think people would fight that to the bitter end, that they have a right to have sex whenever they want, with whoever they want, and whatever derives from that is solely on them. So I personally think that if they were to implement that system, for one, they would have to build more prisons because a lot of people in the United States, we live in a country that love to have sex, um, and and I just believe that a lot of men or women wouldn't honor it because people just want to do what they want to do. They don't take into consideration when you lay down and become intimate and you change body fluids, there's a great potential that something may derive from that, and that's a child. And oftentimes, when you don't take these matters into considerations, you have unprotected sex, and when a child come here because of what various reason, that the child suffer as a result of either one or both of the parents and the decisions that they make. So
I don't think they should implement that law. I think that they should mandate everybody take like parenting classes before deciding to have a child. And also, or before the child's born. I think if my mom opened a parenting book, she would be a much better mom. But yeah, just crack open a parenting book.
well, I'm talking about that wouldn't be logical either, because who wrote the book, and who's to say that those people that composed the book were good parents?
A lot of these single mothers, though, are going to school, right? They're going to college. They can take a parenting class if they have to. If they're going to go to college, we might as well, right? They want to go to college to make, to further their career or whatever they want to do. That's why they go. My mom went to school right when she divorced my dad. She went to college right away. Like she could have opened a parenting book, I think. So I mean, it seems like just a logical thing to do.
But
We
but
should.
I'm
Sorry, go ahead.
saying again, and I'm posing this question to you: who wrote the parenting book? Who's to say that the people that's making these books or advocating these books are good parents? Who's to say? And they may be. I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate here for a minute. They could be pedophiles. They can be, abusive, negligent. And the list can goes on and on. But I don't think parenting classes is the key. That's just my personal opinion. I think when people choose to engage in intimacy and they don't use protection, that possibility that a child can derive from that intercourse is very high. And if those two individuals haven't made any prerequisites prior to them laying down, then normally what comes of that is a bunch of chaos and confusion.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes the mother wants to bring the child into the world, especially if it's her first child, where the man, if he's not responsible and mature, he wants to go out and do the same thing he did with this woman with other women. So he hasn't taken on that responsibility to say, well, before Melissa, we lay down, I think we should use protection. Are you ready to have a child? No, I'm not. Okay, well, let's use protection. It may not give us that total ecstasy or whatever that feeling that we're looking for, but we'll be safe. We don't have to worry about getting into any disputes, going to court, talking about child support, talking about custody, about things of this nature. So I think it's fair to say this: when it comes to women having sex or men having sex, because I'm trying to get away from that, where people think that I just put down
Women,
and you and I both know that that's not the case. Yeah, I speak on decisions that women make, and that's solely the epitome of my belief system. So
I have a contract. I contract before having sex with anybody. I make sure that I have a contract and make sure that the guy signs it and I sign it too, so we both know ahead of time what to expect and what we can accept or what's acceptable for each other.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that, and the listeners, that you have a man that chooses to engage with you in sexual intercourse, you make him sign a contract
before we have sex. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. I've never heard that before, but who knows? I'm talking about maybe it will like get that snowball effect to
Well,
rolling.
it's for his protection and for mine, but mostly for his because you know how women like to scream rape when they're when they're not happy or when he goes and cheats or something. I want him to know he's protected, and I'm protected too. We both know what to expect, and you know we can't really be assholes to each other.
Okay, so back to the idea aspect, right?
Okay.
So you're requesting that the men that you engage
Yeah.
or men, I don't want to even um
Just one.
yeah, I don't want to make it seem like you're hoish or sluttish and you're laying with multiple men. So let me clarify: the man that you choose to engage with, you're actually telling me that he consensually signs an agreement
Heck yeah, yeah,
outlining
easily.
what's to become of this sexual encounter.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know, weird.
That's very interesting, and I'm pretty sure I'll get texts and I'll forward them to you in reference to the statement that you just made. But ideally, how do you actually see men today, Melissa?
I think men are awesome, man. You guys put up with a lot of shit. You guys do a brunt of the work. You guys have a lot on your shoulders. So I just want to protect you guys when I have a like a boyfriend. I wanted to make sure he feels protected from you know the rest of the world. We're supposed to be a team, so I try to make it like you know I try to take care of y'all when I'm with one guy. I try to take care of him. So I
Okay,
love, but I love men. Yeah.
so with that being said, that being your belief system, why do you think, from a female's perspective, and we're talking about idea men and women, and in a minute I'll give my perspective on what some of the characteristic traits that I think women should possess in order to bridge this gap and be with men today and flourish in a relationship. But why do you think men are targeted by social media, particularly to be degenerates, to be incompassionate, to be weak, to be more in tune to their femininity than they are to their masculinity? All these stigmas that's attached, and not just black men, I'm talking about men in general. So why do you think that is?
I don't think you guys get enough grace. Society is not very nice to you guys. The reason why women, this is what I believe. The reason why women like feel like it's so easy for them to move on to the next guy or that they can find better than the man they have is because they know they have choices. Men, not so much, because society is not very nice to men.
So what clarify that for me. What do you mean society's not nice to men?
You guys do. You guys don't get a lot of grace in this in society. Women do. Women get a lot of grace. I mean, look at child support. They can just keep having kids after kid after kid, and they still get. We're still putting it on the man. They should put it on the woman because the woman's deciding to have the kids. So yeah, society gives a lot of grace to women, and that's just because of feminism. And they basically society's embraced feminism, crazy embraced feminism, and I think it's to the men's detriment because you guys are getting like times two now because you guys already had like responsibilities that you had to attend to. You guys have way more responsibilities than we do.
So it would be safe to say um, that men are not appreciated, not in the same spectrum that a woman is.
Exactly. I mean, the man dies before the woman most of the time. You guys have a lot of stress. Yeah, I think you guys have it worse.
So if you were in a position to make laws or change laws, say you became the first woman president, what would be your first law of order?
It would be to probably something to do with I don't know. See, that's a good question. I don't think that I could enact that law, any law that I thought would be appropriate. There would be too much pushback. But if I had the opportunity to do that, like with like waving a magic wand, or as Kevin Samuels would say, the glove that the Avengers glove, whatever that glove is, that the Thanos glove. If I had a Thanos glove, I would make I'd probably make it so women could not have their child without the consent of the father. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay, you lost me there. You would create a law that says a woman couldn't bear a child without the consent of a father.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by that specifically?
Well, if she cannot decide on her own that she wants to have the child, or or if she doesn't want to have a child, she can't make that decision without the consent of the father.
Well, isn't and I don't know. Again, I don't have any statistical facts here, but isn't that often the case?
Yeah, they always have. They're always doing what they want. Women are doing what they want when they get pregnant. They don't really get the consent, whether he wants it or not. They are likely to just have it. I mean, that's that. I have no statistics either, but that's what I see.
Wow, that I've never heard it put like that, but um, I can respect that. But my question also, and that's to any of the people that's joining us, that's listening, and you can please comment or in the comment box, if you will, whenever you choose to. It's open, but let me tell you what I believe. Okay, and lately on these shows, I've been kind of keeping my personal opinions to myself because I get critiqued on these shows. A lot of people have commented on the shows actually that I'm an angry black man, that
Really?
that that I'm bitter, I have trust issues, that
Wow.
and the list negatively just goes on and on. And I've said, and which I shouldn't have said, trying to defend my honor because my integrity and the person that I am, my characteristic traits, stand on its own merit.
Yep.
And a person's opinion of me will not and never have defined who I am. When it comes to relationships, just like any other person, man and woman in this world, I have a right to choose who I choose to engage with. White, black, purple, green, it doesn't matter. Fat, skinny, tall, short, whatever my preference may be. I think oftentimes when people, and I think this is how me and you, when we first met, we bonded because you seen it for what it was. I'm just a very passionate person, and especially when it comes to my belief system. I can compromise when I feel the need to, but when I don't feel the need to, I'm gonna stand firm on my belief system, which most people do. But it's easy for people when questions are posed or they feel pushed in a certain area or certain category to deflect. Okay, and I think this has been a big issue on this show with a lot of guests and a lot of guest followers, that when you turn on one of these podcasts and you see a person talking and you really don't know that person, you automatically start judging. Okay, and you're either going to like what that person is saying or you're not going to like it. And one of the issues we've had with this show since it's been in existence, and we talked about this when we first met, is a lot of people feel that the title Bridging the Gap should be geared more towards women than men. I find that odd that people would make that request, me being a man. You know, I don't live an alternative lifestyle. I'm not a DL brother or any of those things. But whenever I choose to convey my thoughts, if you will, about the actions of women, then it's been said that I hate women. And at times it becomes somewhat confusing, because I don't think that's my intention, or has it ever been or ever will be, to give off that reflection of who I truly am. But when I meet people like you and other people that have been on the show that I can openly have a conversation with, because it's said that men do not communicate well, that we don't talk with our emotions, but that can be refuted and disputed, because I've talked to you. You were drawn, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you were drawn to me by my conversation based on the emotions that was entailed inside the conversation.
Yeah.
So for people to sit back and say, well, Ramont's bitter, he puts down black women, and he don't like black women. And I've repeatedly said this, not just so much as a disclaimer, but to let people know who I truly am and what I represent. I love black women. I love all women. To be frankly, what I don't like is I don't want to say attitudes, is the way some women, not all women, how some women choose to communicate when it comes to black men. So me being a black man, coming from a black woman, a black mother, and being a little older, my perspectives of life is a little bit more broader than most people, because I don't live in this modern day mindset, this convenient mindset where people think, well, I got to go along with the flow of everything. And when I see people like that, some of the people that has been guests on the show, where they come on, they comment based on what someone else is saying. They don't come on and comment what's in their hearts. They're trying to be validated by their peers. Now, when it comes to taking on the title of being an adult and being mature, then there's a big responsibility to come with those words. And I think oftentimes on this show, people haven't embraced that, because they're saying and doing things based on what the other people on the show are doing. So I said all that to say this, is that women today, and not just particularly black women, this is all race of women that buy into this mindset. They don't want Kevin Samuels. They don't want Ramont Williams. They don't want the guy that does Fit and whatever it is.
Fresh and Fit. Yeah.
Yeah, Fresh and Fit, and some of these other guys, because people today, not just women, and I'm going to reiterate that, not just women, but men too, do not want to accept the truth. They will embrace a lie before they sample the truth. I'm a firm believer of that. But see, life is fair. And what I mean by that is that when we're in life, this thing called life tests each and every one of us from every facet of life. And when you find a person that can articulate in a positive way some of the things that you're emulating, some of the things that you're advocating, some of the things that you're conveying, 9 times out of 10, people will become combative, very defensive. They will deflect, and they would some people will get irate. If you go back and look at some of the shows that we've had, you will see that some of the questions I posed were simple questions. They were either yes or no, and people became belligerent. And I've always said that these shows are for mild educational purposes and solely for entertainment purposes. And I just don't get the part where people feel that when I say something on this show, that I'm talking specifically to them. And I've had people allude to say to me, both on the air, off the air, and through correspondence, that you need to quit generalizing. Well, this is what I need people to understand. When you generalize, you're talking about a broad perspective, okay? Or it can be narrow, depending on the narrative. So for me to say, well, I don't agree with Melissa talking about Kevin Samuels all the time. You know, she don't know Kevin Samuels. She's never met Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels was this, Kevin Samuels was that. Okay, well, in my opinion, being neutral, unbiased, I can sit back and say, well, why can't she? She has that God-given right. If she chooses to honor or advocate for a man that has created a narrative this is the only man, Kevin Samuels, and I'm gonna say his name, that has created a narrative that everyone on social media who has a podcast, both male and female, use as a platform or leverage to promote themselves.
It's very true.
Tell me I'm wrong.
That's very true.
You know, but yet in the same voice, these are the same people that tried to label this man as a homosexual. They tried to label him as a pedophile. They tried to label him, they gave him many and multiple labels, and this man never did anything. I'm talking about all the shows that I've seen. And I believe I've seen all his episodes. All he did was ask questions. The women told on themselves. The women exposed themselves. I didn't see him as being a shyster. I didn't see him manipulating or tricking uneducated or formerly educated women into conversations that he knew he could control. I've seen him talk and engage with women with PhD degrees and made them this big.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to embrace people that's put on this earth to educate. But we live in a society today where people are not in tune to education. And the people that claim they have education, I don't understand what is this with me going off again. So,
but I do agree with all that. People don't like education, don't like to be educated. They are cool with the mainstream not knowing anything. So I agree with that. Yep. It's hard for women to want to like educate themselves about what they've been taught wrong for so many years. So I get it, but it's like what he said once was, it's not our fault we're like this, but it's our responsibility to do something about it. And I completely agree with that.
Right. Well, there we go. I guess it's the virtual tour in the background. But anyhow, I've always been this type of person since I was younger, in my 20s, and I got onto this academic bobsled, if you will. What education did for me, and I can't speak for anybody else, and I'm not just talking about going to a university or college and acquiring a degree in a certain subject. I'm talking about from a broader perspective. What education did to me, it opened my eyes where I could see the bigger picture of life. it showed me things that I would have never seen had I not ventured down that road. For me, education hasn't been a tool to slander or belittle or hurt people or
Want to reject, yeah.
yeah,
Embraced it.
or emasculate people. But what education has given me is the opportunity to rub elbows with people all the way up to the White House. Okay. It has given me the opportunity also to be able to express my inner thoughts, to share my heart in an intellectual way where I'm not using a lot of profanity, where I'm not using a lot of slang, and I can honestly come across and get my point across. Where some people, both males and females, and particularly I'm talking about the show, have come on here promoting and what I feel is or was in somewhat a deceptive way, that they have all this education, but their sole purpose was to come on the show to embarrass me, which didn't happen, by the way. But when you cannot maturely engage in a conversation, whether it's on a podcast or in presence in a coffee shop or in Walmart with another human being, without being indirectly condescending, insultive, then what was all that education for?
You know, exactly.
So
They don't teach us that in school, though.
with you acquiring the academics that you did, what do you think education has done for you personally?
Because I had nothing to worry about while I was being educated. I think it allowed me to see things in a different perspective. I'm not necessarily sure if it helped me see it in the male's perspective. That happened afterwards. Yeah, it definitely didn't show me like anything in that perspective. So I didn't learn sympathy for men through my education at all. It's actually just the opposite.
So would you say that women that's gonna watch this show, women that may be watching this show now, would say that you're an advocate for men, traditional men?
They might.
So how would that make you feel, being the woman that you are, accomplishing the things that you've accomplished in the world today? How does that make you feel internally?
It doesn't affect me. They might call me a pick me, which is it's fair to say that that's what I am. But I mean, if you talk to the men that I've dated, I doubt that they would call me a pick me. But I do my best. I try my best to make sure like I'm fair or more than fair to men that I see that I date. So I'm not really sure what they say, and you know what? I don't really think it matters what these women think. They shouldn't be focused on me. They should be focused on themselves.
Right. So you said earlier that, and a lot of people say this. I've heard it said, and a few times I've said it myself, that you don't have a lot of female friends. Why is that?
I'm not trying to go to the club or like try to go hang out with like my girls or go to a vacation with my girls. That's probably why, because the priorities of like when you have female friends, there's like the priorities are a little bit not in line with mine. Maybe married friends. I could definitely like have female married friends when I get married, maybe. But I'm not looking for like girls night or girls weekend or girls vacations. That's basically what happens when you go with girls.
So if you were deciding to have friends, it would be friends more, as you kind of put it, more nurturing. They would be more stable and balanced because they have and it's not to say that they have more substance than anyone else, but they have that societal balance. You know,
Exactly.
they're married, they're committed, so we want to believe, and you can interact with people like this because you know their commitment is more so to the responsibility and conducive of their family as opposed to going to clubs, getting drunk every night, or hanging out on the weekend or taking trips. Is
Exactly.
that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. So if you, well, let me say this because I want to give and put this on the air. What is my personal ideal woman? Okay. And I think that people should hear this. I think a woman, and I think a lot of people, men particularly, would, or consensus, would be on board with this. I'm not a rich man, nowhere near a rich man. I work just like everybody else do. I go through financial struggles like everybody else do. But one thing I can say is my belief system to me makes me a man. I'm talking about in every essence of being a man. And you know, I'm a responsible father. I'm a single father, but you don't hear me run around saying, "Oh, I'm a single parent." I'm a parent, whether I'm single or not. It doesn't matter. Um, my ideal woman would be someone that's educated. I don't, and this is not to put anybody down that doesn't have any formal education, but education gives you an advantage over a lot of people in a lot of different things and aspects in life. So that woman would have to be educated to some degree. She wouldn't have to have a PhD degree, but have some form of college. Um, I would request that she lean more towards traditional values than modern day values. I would hope she has an opinion because I can respect that. But I would look more towards a woman, not a submissive woman, because when you use the terminology submissive, a lot of women get offended because they feel that that's that particular man that's conveying that wants a woman that he can control and walk over. No, I don't want a woman that I can control and walk over. What I want is a woman that brings balance and peace to my life. You know, I'm not going to say I want a woman that's equal to me because there's no woman that's equal to any man. And that's just a reality. It doesn't matter what your financial or social status is, what your academic accolades are. You know, there's no equal when it comes to men and women. You know, we both have roles. I know a lot of people don't believe in gender roles, and by no means I have a Neanderthal mindset and believe that women should be pregnant and barefoot and stay at home and scrub baseboards and clean toilets. No, I don't believe that. But what I do believe is this: when it comes to what my ideal woman is, you have to have the simple things in life. Lean more towards traditional, and that's not to say you can't be educated. It doesn't mean that you can't pursue a career. It doesn't mean that you can't be trying to be an entrepreneur. But one thing, me being the man that I am, I don't want a woman that I have to compete with. You know, when I meet women like that, and I guess this is the reason I'm single. A lot of people say I'm single because I don't compromise or whatever their thoughts may be. And I think that's far from the truth. I'm single simply because I choose to be, because there's certain things from a woman I won't accept. There's certain things from a woman that I will not do, but I won't accept either. So if we can't have that balance and that harmony, then I just choose to be single. You know, anybody by right, man or woman, don't have to be a Kelly Rowland. They don't have to be a Beyonce. They don't have to be a Holly Berry, you know, a Denzel Washington, Brad Pitts. You can go out and get sex. That's not hard to do. Okay. And when people think that they're the only ones that have options, they're pretending with themselves. So again, my ideal woman would be a woman that brings balance to my life and peace. You know, be who you are. I'm not trying to change you, and I'm not looking for a mom or anyone to come in here and micromanage and change my personality. I am who I am. I'm a man. I have flaws, but I have desires and I have passions. And if you can't respect that and enhance that and embrace that, then hey, I'll be a single man and until that time comes. So ideally for me, I think women particularly should start conveying what their true thoughts are for men in order to be in relationships with them. Don't just go into a relationship expecting a man to go out and spend money on you. And no, I'm not even suggesting that because a man takes you out that you're supposed to go to sleep with him that night. By no means am I suggesting that. What I'm saying is when you decide to engage with this man and go out and spend time, conversate. Don't just have general conversation. Ask, what is it that you like? Because the only way you're going to get to know a person is to ask questions. Now, this has been my experience, and I want to share this with you, Melissa. It's been my experience in dating, not to interrogate, but to ask questions that I feel are very pertinent to me deciding and making a decision whether or not I want to engage with you or invest my time. My time, you know, I got more time behind me than I do in front of me. So when I ask questions, I need to know. I'm not going to get into the guessing game and just jump into a relationship and then come to find out, damn, I just got in a relationship with the Wicked Witch of the West. You know, so I've had women say, damn, man, are you a police? Who asks questions like that? Well,
what kind of questions?
Yeah, the only way I'm gonna know is to ask questions. When you meet a person, what do we do? We just look at each other and smile and sip on Starbucks and go through this telepathy thing and read each other's mind.
Some people like to be in that
How does
fantasy.
that work?
Some people like to maintain their fantasy of the person. That's probably why.
Well,
That's a waste of time though.
I ask questions because I need to know. I've posed this question on many occasions. Well, don't get offended by this, but what can you offer me in a relationship? Now, as a man, as a human being, do you believe I do or don't possess that right to ask that question?
You definitely possess the right. And a woman should be able to offer you like safety and protection from her mentally. Like she can't like go crazy in front of people. She can't call the police or even have like the thought of you being arrested like in her mind because of something you didn't do or did do to her. You just should be able to feel like you're safe and you don't have to worry about like getting angry, raising your voice at her because she's never gonna make that happen. She's never going to let that happen. She's never going to do something that makes you do that. Yeah.
So as a woman, being the woman that you are today, would you agree that men should ask that question?
Definitely. All men should. And all women should never get offended by that question.
So why do you think women do get offended when I pose that question?
Because they don't know what to answer. They don't know how to answer it. They're not used to that question.
So what do you mean they don't know how to answer it? If they're an adult, they have some formal education, they could be career orientated. Why couldn't they answer a simple question?
Well, we don't learn that stuff in school. Like I told you, it's the opposite. We learn to basically against men in school. We're more feminist in school. We learn that type of culture, but
when like we're out in the real world as women, we're taught to believe that men owe us something. We don't really think about it like we got to do something too. We don't learn any of that on our own or like at school. We need to learn that on our own. We need to normalize that though.
So when you say you're taught to believe that men owe you something, explain that to me a little bit more in detail, please.
Well, you know how it goes. Women think that their pussy is worth gold. They're not really thinking about anything else. They don't have anything else to offer them. Automatically, they think, "Well, I have the pussy. That's all you need, you know." And you're obviously talking to me, so you think I'm worth the time. But I mean, that's obviously wrong. But that's all we think about when well, at least when I was younger. That's what we're made to believe is our value. Which is why most of us should, like, you know, stay virgins for as long as you can, right? Or at least till we get married, or at least until we're dating someone we're looking to marry. So I mean, a lot of that gets messed up, man, when we give it up when we're too young or when we have children. Like they don't really have anything to offer you as far as woman to man is concerned.
So it's said that most men mindset when it comes to women. Now, hear me out on this. That most men only see women as sexual objects. Okay, now when you look at social media, particularly Facebook, okay, and some of these other platforms, all you see, in my opinion, is devalued women that's exploiting their sexuality. So if a man was to call one of these women a hoe, all hell would break loose. But here it is, how is a man to perceive a woman that and I'm talking about, these are not just young girls on social media, these are women my age that's going to have their bodies augmented, and they're wearing these tight fitting, very exploited clothes, if you will, provocative clothes, and everybody's making their booty cheeks clap. So how, as a man, how am I to perceive that you don't have hoish potentials, that you're not you're trying to exploit your sexuality for some type of financial sponsorship? How am I to take that as a man?
It's like those women are appealing to the lowest form of man. So if we try, I mean, you're obviously right. That's how they want to be perceived, as somebody who just sells their shit, and that's all that they're worth. So I mean, I don't know how else you could think about it if you're a man.
So it just behooves me when I see and hear women, when men see you, they're seeing you for what you're advocating, and that's sex. I'm talking about if a woman is dressed casually, and she can have her stuff, some slacks or something on, a nice little blazer, and it's tapered and tailored. I don't think she would get the bird calls or the hooping and hollering from men if she walked down the street, as opposed to someone that walked down the streets with a full body spandex on, and she got the spandex pulled up in her private parts, knowing that she looked at herself in the mirror, and this is the first thing a man is going to see when he see her walking down the streets.
Even if that is the case, like even if she does get those, it's not even like she's trying to sell it like that. But the women that do that, they're the other ones, the ones that dress like all hoochie and are just like on Instagram and stuff, like showing it all off. I don't know what those women are expecting, other than men to think about them as sex objects. They can't really expect to find a husband like that.
But wait a minute. These are a lot, not all. These are a lot of the women that say they have to have a six-figure man, that he has to be 6 feet tall, that he has to drive a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Rolls Royce. These are the same women that have multiple kids by multiple men. These are the same women, a lot, not all, that's on Section 8 or some type of public assistance. These are the same women that have no formal education. These are the same women that can't communicate or express themselves or articulate only through body language.
Literally. Yeah. Well, I mean, what's that song that Jamie Foxx says? I love her 'cause she got her own. She don't need mine. Something like that, right? There's
So,
something that's so sexy that a girl that wants but don't need me. That song.
so let me ask you this, pose this last question to you. So if America was to come up with a dress code like the Middle East, where women had to be, and they enforce this, and this is a hypothetical because I'm pretty sure it never, um, no one would ever entertain the thought of trying to lobby to make that a law. But if hypothetically America was to create a Mideastern law that women had to be covered up from their ankles all the way to like the Mideastern women and wear the thing under their nose or over their nose, however it go. What do you think the women in America would do?
They would go crazy and they would say they have their independence, they can do what they want. But you know what? That the people in the Middle East, the women do it on purpose. They know better. They know why they do it, and they do it with pride because they don't want to tempt the man. They know what the man's nature is. In this country, we don't care. We actually know the man's nature. We're using that nature that we know to to appeal to their lower self, and then that I think that's pretty bad. But yeah, I mean that's what would happen.
Okay, so when you say a man's nature, what do you mean by that?
A man's lower nature. I mean, men who have not found their purpose and that are just looking for pussy. That's what I mean.
But most men would be looking for some type of sexual encounter. Would
If
you
they
agree?
don't have their purpose, yeah, definitely. That's all they're doing. Is That's why we need to also advocate for men to find their purpose before they
Okay,
maybe go out into the world to get
so
laid.
let me get some clarity on this. What you're saying is if a man doesn't have a purpose, or if he does have a purpose, that wouldn't be his main objective when it comes to women.
Nope. He would be on his purpose.
So would it be fair to say that a man could have an objective and still desire a woman?
Definitely, he probably will desire women, but as long as he's on his purpose, he's not looking toward like many women. He could probably keep his few that he prefers, right?
But don't you believe in polygamy?
No, I told you that I believe that we need to start coaching the children to look toward doing that in the future because I believe that there are a lot of single women that are all independent women that want to say they don't need a man, but in the end game these are old when they get older they're not going to have anybody and they're going to be homeless and that's just what it is. In other countries they have women that are stealing just so they can go to jail so that they can have a place to sleep and food to eat. So that's what's going on right now already in other
Well,
countries.
I'm kind of confused, and the reason I say I'm kind of confused because if it's so difficult today for one man and one woman to compromise and have a balanced relationship, how can one woman with multiple men or
No.
one man with multiple women
Yeah.
create a balance with that type of relationship?
Because as we evolve in this world, we need to see what it is. We have more women than we have men. Okay, we're not gonna have one woman for every man. Um,
Exactly.
if we would mature ourselves a little bit more, we could see past the, oh, but I don't want him to have any sex with anybody else. We would see past that and start to see what we really do need is to be in. We need to have more conducive relationships, and we also need to advocate for men to have just find their purpose before they go out into the world. That's just how I see it, but I mean, I could be wrong.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
I think in this we need to advocate more for the women to understand that there is more at stake than just their feelings, and we also need to make sure that men are finding their purpose before they go out into the world because we both have issues on both sides of the spectrum, and I think more so men have more to deal with than women do. So if we just taught our women
to be more mature and more thoughtful and more considerate towards the other sex, I think we would be okay. I think we would all recognize that we need to do what's necessary and stop thinking about with our feelings.
So let me pose this last question for you because we've come to that time.
But I can't do polygamy. So I'm not going to say that I'm mature.
Well, come on now, everybody has that little twinge of freakness in them. So,
I'm
Who
sure if
knows?
I didn't love the man, I probably could do it.
who,
Like if I
who,
knew it. Yeah.
who knows? You try it, you might like it. You might be a big advocate for it. But here's here's my question to you. In closing, can you please share your perspective on this topic, what your ideal man is and what your ideal woman is?
I'll start with the women, I guess. My ideal woman, the ideal woman, I believe, should learn how to not yell, should learn how to have a conversation and not use her any violence. She should not have any like just manly traits in the ways that like she needs to get her point across. She can learn how to do it without being a man. But the thing is, this society does give men a lot of like we do things the way we see men do them because men get things done, and that's why women like to kind of mirror that. So that, right now we have a society that wants to be of women that want to be men. Okay, so I want to backtrack that. I want to make it the other way around. And for the man, my ideal man would be one that understands women are very weak when it comes to mentally. We really don't have a lot. We can't even deal with our periods. Basically, we still we get angry during our periods. Why do men think that they can cheat on us and we can just get over it? Okay, so I mean I know and I'm asking a lot of men, I know, but just women need to be more considerate and men just need to be more patient. That's about it. So
Okay. Very well said, young lady. And with that, I don't even think I have the words to even piggyback off that. But what I will say, this in closing, that in order for men and women to bridge the gap, we have to be open for change. It's not about gender roles. We cannot, in the same tone, say we believe in God and do just the opposite of God's word. So with that being said, if a man is in a position, as you said, to lead, despite a woman having that independent role, taking care of everything, raising the kids, then there comes a time when you have to pass the torch. So I hope that as we continue to move forward, that people will gravitate to this show and get the true essence of what's being said here, as opposed to their personal feelings and whatever they have going on in their life, and feel that people are on this particular show, Bridging the Gap, is here, and this show is designed just to emasculate, degrade, to be condescending towards women, particularly Black women, because it's not. And I don't think that I've had any woman on this show, whether Black of any other ethnicity, that actually put down Black women. So with that being said, again, if we're going to move forward, we have to be more open-minded. We have to be willing to compromise, and we have to have a better understanding. Let's talk, see what you like, what you dislike, what I dislike. And as adults, it's a simple process. Life is not hard at all. And I've said that and will continue to say this. What makes life hard is our inability to analyze, be rational, and share what a lot of people say is our inner thoughts. So what we do, we have this image that we portray, that we wear on our sleeves, and that's what we show the world. And that's what we want the world, or try to convince the world to believe that we are. instead of saying, well, you know what? I'm a man. I need a woman. God created me to be in this world with a woman. So I'm not going to be a DL brother. I'm not going to live an alternative lifestyle. I'm going to go and get me a woman. And as difficult as some may be, it's still the design by God for us to be together. And the same thing with women. You know, quit jumping on these guys because you like their swag and all this other street slang. If you're gonna choose to lay down with a man, choose a man that you see as striving. There's no perfection in life. And I don't care how much money, how much success you got, these people still have issues like we do, common people. Okay. So to you women, look for a man that's a man. Quit looking for these men that's more in tune to their feminine side than they are their masculine side. And I'm not talking about some thug, wannabe gangster. I'm not talking about these type of males. I'm talking about men that's conservative, have good values, good morals. They stand on principles. They're God-fearing, whether you believe in God or not. That thought alone gives that man a purpose and a balance in life. Okay. If a man can treat you right, it's not always about what a man has in his wallet, how big the limit on his credit card is, how big house he stay in, what kind of car he drive, if he got on designer shirts, shoes, pants, what kind of watch or gold jewelry he wears, which I don't see a lot of people wearing gold anyhow. They wearing this platinum. I think it is white gold. But anyhow, start not demanding, but requiring that men meet basic requirements before you engage them. Because, you know, that old analogy, you know, you can take a leopard out the jungle, but you can't change his spots. So when you meet these men, particularly in certain type of demographics or environments, these men will be who they are. And by putting on a suit or dressing up doesn't change who they are, you know. And I seen something today that really bothered me. And I'm gonna say this in closing. I'm gonna close this out. I seen a man with a two-piece suit on, and I left the house this morning with a two-piece suit on too, because I had to go and support one of my family members at a hearing. This man was actually sagging, Melissa, with a suit on, and I'm not a fashion mogul by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know how to dress. I know how to buy suits and go and get them tailored. I know how to get shoes to match. I know how to accessorize when it comes to dressing. I don't wear a lot of sports gear because I'm not a teenager. Now, I know some men that's watching this will disagree with that. You know, when I see these old dudes always with all the different baseball caps turned around or however they choose to wear them, with hoodies on, you know, and y'all just making Michael Jordan so rich it ain't even funny, because you're constantly buying the same shoes that's been replicated 20 times. Okay, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So the same thing with the men. Start choosing these women based on their true characteristic traits, not just their anatomy. And I think with that being said, we would produce a lot better relationships. The disparity that we have between men and women will dissipate to some degree. And we would have more clarity when it comes to relationships and what's expected in a relationship, as opposed to people just getting together for financial reasons, for sexual reasons, just to have a roof over their head. And the list goes on and on and on. And I won't get into that. But with that being said, I would like to thank each and every one of you who tuned in tonight. Thanks for your support. I thank you, Miss Melissa. You know, you're loved and respected, you know, for all the things that you do. When I call on you, you know, you're there, you know, no questions, you know, you sacrifice your sleep, you know, to help me when I need help with the show, and I appreciate that. I really do from the bottom of my heart.
It's fun.
Yeah, you've done things for me that probably my woman wouldn't do, and I've never met you physically, so anyone that's assuming that I'm saying that we have an intimate bond, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying here's a woman that stands by values and morals. Here's a woman that's committed. When she says she's going to do something, she does it. She doesn't have ulterior motive attached to it. She does it out of the kindness of her heart. And I know that for a fact because she's made that sacrifice for me on numerous occasions, even when I was being unkind and inconsiderate on a lot of occasions. And again, I thank you for that. And I will always acknowledge you publicly and privately whenever given the opportunity. So with that being said, thank you all again. God bless you. Please be safe out there. And remember, with Bridging the Gap, we're cutting down on the disparity between men and women. So with that, please take care and see you Saturday. Stay tuned for Saturday. So just hold on, Melissa. I'm going to close this